Hello everybody, it's Taylor. So tonight I'm going to my friend's dinner and then we are going out afterwards. So I thought I'd do a drunk get ready with me or get ready with me. I don't know how drunk I'm gonna get because we're going to dinner first and then going out. And I also have like 2 hours to do this, which sounds like a lot of time, but I can do things very slowly. But I also thought that while I'm doing this get ready with me, I can tell you things of what not to do when moving abroad. These are going to be very specific to my situation, so they might not apply to you, but I thought I'd share them just because they're kind of things that either I didn't think about or no one really talked about. First, I thought we may as well start off with a drink. So I bought a White Claw because I can't be bothered really making a drink. And I really like White Claws, so we've got that. And then I thought just to spice things up. Also, this is like the first time I've ever bought Grey Goose. So I actually don't know if it's very good. I'm pretty sure it's pretty good. We're gonna have a shot of that first and see if we survive. Because I haven't really drunk much this year, so I just know I'm gonna get if I have too much. So let's try that. I'm gonna put the drink in just for a chaser because I know this is gonna be awful. That smells so good. I don't know how I feel about the fact that it's not pink. Oh my god. Okay, so I don't have a shot glass, but I have an espresso thing, so I'm actually very terrified. I'm not gonna do much. It's like probably half a shot. Let's try this first just to... that's nice. Oh my god, my body's already trying to like expel everything because as soon as my body knows that there's alcohol going into it, it like will reject it, like it hates it. But like only when I know there's alcohol, even if it doesn't taste like alcohol, if my body knows that it's meant to be in there, I get okay. It doesn't actually smell that bad. Let's try it. Oh my god, I'm terrified. Ugh. Honestly, the face I made was horrible, but it's definitely nice vodka. Okay. Let's go get ready. My body hated that. I hated that. It was worse than I expected, but the actual vodka is not too bad. How do people like deal with fringes? Because like once I've done this, that fringe is not gonna sit where it should. I'm also eating Cheetos. Okay, the first thing, and I feel like the most important thing to not do when moving abroad is moving to a place you've never visited. I will say that like visiting a place is so different from actually living in it. So like even if you visit a place and you think you will love it, you might not love it. But I don't think you should ever move somewhere that you've never even visited, because I moved to Canada without having ever left the country, and I don't know if times would be different from how I've experienced it so far, but I do wish that I had at least visited anywhere in Canada, or especially the place that I was gonna live. So I had an American trip booked and I was like, there's no point going all the way home, getting everything after the trip, and then going all the way back to Canada. So I was like, fuck it, I will just go from my American trip straight to Canada. I'm sure everything will be fine, and I'm sure Canada will be exactly how I expected it to be. Yeah, that's not how anything works, and that's not how it worked. I've been in Canada, Toronto specifically, for 6 months now actually, maybe like almost 6 months, and it's just not what I expected, you know? And like, I know I could visit different places in Canada, but like, it's just Canada itself, you know? And I don't know if times would have been different if I had have come to Toronto and visited and then like fallen in love and then moved here and it's different. But I feel like I might have decided not to move here if I hadn't visited first. And like, I know there will definitely be people who have done exactly what I did, like move to a country that they've never been to before, or at least a city, and like it turned out fine. But I feel like if you can, you should always visit it first. In saying that, I don't regret moving here, and I do feel like my time here has been wonderful, you know? But like, I don't know. I just feel like I had such an expectation of what I expected Canada and Toronto to be, and it did not meet that expectation. Before I move on to the second point, with the whole not visiting a place before you go and live there, everyone that I looked up and knew of that moved absolutely loved it. Granted, that was back in pre-COVID, so that might have had a lot to do with the fact that they might have had a better time than me, even if you think you've done all your research. So I moved from Melbourne, Australia, to Toronto, and like, I thought that the cost of things would be on par with each other, because everyone says Melbourne's so expensive, it's unlivable, that sort of stuff. And like, I just found tricks of like finding like cheap stuff. You know, there's always like a cheaper option of things. You have your ways around it. And I thought I'll do the same thing in Canada. Turns out the same exact thing is still costs more. Amazon, pretty sure it's like $80 for Amazon in Australia. That's including tax. Here it's like 100, not including tax. Like the same stuff just costs more. Obviously like Canada is a lot bigger and like I would assume you have more of a variety. That's probably why it's more expensive, but like the same thing costs more. I thought they would cost the same. It's just in a different country, you know, in a different currency. No, more expensive. The next point is about insurance. So I got an insurance that was kind of the best that you could have gotten. In Australia, there's really not many travel insurances for Canada that you can get like from the Australian insurance companies. So there was really only a few to pick from. And there was like a cheap one that had no excess, but the amount that they would cover in medical bills was not very high. And then there was the one I chose that was unlimited medical expenses, but you have a excess of $250, which like at the time I was like, you know, I gotta pay this, like I probably won't use the excess very much, like it's really only $250 and it covers me unlimited medical. Most of the promises in Canada will let you have their provincial healthcare if you're like, you know, working for a certain amount of time, whatever, like if you're eligible. Most of them, it's like pretty easy to be eligible. So like I paid all this money and I am eligible for the provincial healthcare in Ontario, which would mean I really don't have that many like medical expenses I have to pay for. And so like the unlimited medical that I got, well, I'm really never really going to use much of it because it's covered by the government. And in saying that, before I was eligible for the provincial healthcare, I did something to my thumb and I put off going to the hospital because I don't have healthcare. I couldn't afford it. I had travel insurance, which was great, but I had to pay $250. And I'm like, well, if I have to do that every time I'm like hurting myself or like need to go to a doctor's or if something happens to like my stuff when I'm traveling, that $250 adds up so much that you pay all this extra money for this insurance that you end up not really using because you either, one, don't use it because it's $250, well, the thing that you're claiming probably costs less or around that, or you have to go through all of that annoying stuff and start paying $250 every time something happens. So I do regret getting that one because I think you should always get an insurance that has no excess, because if anything happens, you don't want to have to be forking out all this extra money every single time you're trying to make a claim. So I would say if you're going to get a health insurance, get one with no excess, because that just takes away all of the pain of having to pay all this extra money. Definitely like do your research and like what it covers and stuff like that and like compare them. But I feel like if you can, choose a no excess insurance. I've been too busy like rambling that I have not really had a drink, but I definitely do feel like buzzed a tiny bit, so that's a little bit concerning. I also realized I'm doing like a drunk get ready with me, which is like fun, and then I'm telling you like serious points of like don't do this when moving overseas. My third tip of what not to do when moving overseas is on your first apartment or room, whatever you get, don't get it unfurnished. And if you can, try and get month to month, because you could always hate where you live and you've just committed to, you know, like a year lease. And especially like so I've been here 6 months now, and when I first moved, I stayed at an Airbnb for like a month. And then I rented a room, an unfurnished room. Granted, it was month to month, so I did pretty well with that because I just moved into this unit. And so I was able to just tell the person, hey, I'm leaving. And they're like, okay. And I could get out of it. If you commit to like a whole year and then you realize you hate it, now what? You've got to break the lease. When I first moved, I moved into a room that was pretty big. Like it was an old place, huge room, tall ceilings, like it was all great. And it was unfurnished, so I had to furnish it myself. And I decided, because I didn't have a car, I would just order stuff on Amazon and get it delivered. And so I was like, well, you know, this is like a room. This room's pretty big. I'll get a queen size bed. And so I get the queen size bed, and it's been great. It fit really nice in that room. And then a couple months later, I move into this place, and the bed is just way too big for the unit. The bed takes up like literally like a third of the whole unit. And I just wish that if I had moved into a furnished unit, I would have moved into here, realized it's way too small for a queen and maybe I need the full, and I would have been able to do that. But yeah, if I had gone back in time and rented a furnished room, I would have moved into here and everything would have been great. If you can, like if it's a possibility to rent a month-to-month lease where you have a room or apartment that's furnished already. Because that way, if you decide you hate the place and you want to leave, you literally can just dip. Whereas now I'd have to try and sell all of this, get rid of it. It's just kind of a waste of money. I'm pretty sure this brush had like a dark color left over and now I have like the world's strongest contour. This next one kind of circles back to my first point. Don't have high expectations of a place. I think even if you've visited a place before and decided, yep, I could live here. Even if you've decided that, I think still having lower expectations of somewhere is just gonna make your time a whole lot better. I mean, I hadn't visited Toronto before I moved here, but I don't know if I would have enjoyed visiting and still decided to move here. I had such high expectations. Everything that I've seen online of people visiting and like people living here, especially like Australians living here, they absolutely loved it. And maybe I need to go to a different city, but I think my expectations were way too high. And in turn, it made me kind of resent living here because I had this expectation of how nice and fun it was gonna be, and then I was so disappointed when I first moved here. But I am super excited for Halloween and Christmas, so that's what's getting me through the rest of the year. I know winter's gonna be awful. I knew that before I left. My expectations are very low for winter, so that's good. I think expect the worst, hope for the best. Keep that, because I feel like that's gonna make everything enjoyable. And I feel like when you're expecting it to be not so good, when the good things happen, like it just makes them, you'll appreciate it more. I'm very scared of this. It's really not bad. My brain's like, that is poison. Okay, this last point might be common sense to every single person except me. But if there's one person who thought like me and is about to do this, then I'm gonna tell you otherwise. So I have only, before I left the country, I had only ever been on like short flights, like max 4 hours, if not 3.5 hours. I always choose the aisle seat because I don't like getting up for people. I feel cramped in the window seat. I don't like the middle seat. And so I was like, I'll do the end seat. It'll be fine. I'll be able to get up like whenever I want. So I was on 2 flights and one of them was 10 hours. And I learned that day that I can't sleep on planes. Now, I don't know if it's because I was in an aisle seat, but I paid for that aisle seat, which thinking back, I'm like, God, that's so ridiculous, because why would you torture yourself like that? I couldn't get comfortable because I had nowhere to lay and I was just sat next to some random, so I couldn't lay on them. And so I could not sleep. Worst flight of my entire life. I'm actually terrified to go back to Australia because I'm gonna have to be in a long haul flight and I might die. But I'm definitely booking a window seat next time. So this is your reminder that if you're an aisle seat girly and you think that an aisle seat is the good idea, it's not the good idea. It's not. And you're gonna torture yourself doing that. Also, actually, while I'm on that note, I didn't have a neck pillow because I didn't think I'd need one. Get a neck pillow. I don't care if you think you need one or not. You need a neck pillow. I might have slept really good if I had a neck pillow to like, you know, put my neck somewhere, but I was just so uncomfortable the entire way that I could not fall asleep. And like, I feel like a lot of this point is just because I'm an idiot and everyone else might know this already, but like, I had no idea. And I learned the hard way that you don't do the aisle seat on a long haul flight unless you don't want to sleep. In saying all that, I don't want people to get scared of moving overseas thinking it's gonna be horrible. It's not. I've really enjoyed my time here. I've made some good friends. I've made core memories that I'll never forget, and I don't want to go home, but they're just things that like you should consider when before moving overseas, and just like have more of an open mind, because I feel like I did, but I didn't in the end. It's really not bad, but my brain's telling me it is. I thought that's probably not even one shot. Oh, I'm pretty sure I got a few little spots on my laptop. That's really not fun. Anyway, that's like half a shot. I don't want to get too fucked up. Maybe I'll put one more. A little bit more. I'm gonna hate myself after this. I'm a very lightweight. Like very lightweight. Cheers. I don't know why I think smelling it is gonna be a good idea. My brain. It's delicious. It's yummy. You like the taste of vodka. It's so good. It's so good. Honestly, the mental talk definitely helps. Okay, right now I'm like curling my hair. I've done the back. Well, it has been, I think, like half an hour since I recorded. I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel so tipsy right now. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe, it's free, and that'll mean I can do more of these. So thank you for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye.